gang, and thanks for all the support. I mean, commercial fishermen from the Clean Ocean Action. I thank everybody for, especially Lauren, for helping putting this thing together to save the scallops, fish, everything that we all live for, and the whales and jellyfish, whatever it is that it hurts. But I'm kind of proud of all the elected officials that showed up. It's really great. Missing a couple of senators, but I think we have enough up here to pass any law you want. So I'd like to introduce Chris Connors, Senator Chris Connors, Deputy Mayor Chuck Maskell from Beach Haven, Mayor Joe Mancini from Long Beach Township, Mr. Holstenbeck, Mayor Holstenbeck from Chip Bottom, we've got John Oldham from Harvey Cedars, Mayor John Oldham, we've got Assemblywoman Diane Gove for our district, we have Deputy Mayor Sharon McKenna from Stafford Township, we got Congressman Frank Lobiondo. Great guy. We also have Deputy Director of Burlington Freeholders, Joe Howard. We have in the audience Tom McCarthy, running for the Republican side for District John Runyon District. We also have Amy Belgard, who's running on the Democratic side, and we also have Frederick standing back there. We also have Frederick John Laverne, who's running for the same seat. We also have Carol Worrell from the U.S. Representative Smith's seat. Is she here? And Zach McHugh. Is he here? Zach McHugh?
He's on his way.
He's on his way, okay. No cheering until he gets here. All right, I'd like to turn this over to Amy, head of the Clean Ocean Action. Cindy.
It's all good. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming out on a night like this to protect our ocean. Really remarkable. Mayor Larson, thank you so much for hosting this, and all of Barnegat Light for hosting this meeting so we can stand up and protect our ocean from a very serious threat, which is actually looming just off our coast right now. We're going to hear more about that. But Mayor Larson, I know that you have come from a long family of fishermen and fisherwomen, and fishing runs deep in your souls, as it does so many people here tonight. And it's not just about the fish, but it's about the smallest of critters, the stuff you can't even see, to the largest animals, our whales. They're all at risk by something that some of us were completely unaware of until just a couple months ago. This has happened so fast. And what it is a seismic testing study of the waters right off our coast here at the inlet, about 15 miles offshore. Rutgers has teamed up with Lamont Doherty and the University of Texas, for some reason, and the National Science Foundation to blast the ocean with incredibly loud sound waves to penetrate deep into the bedrock of the sea to look for sea level rise 60 million years ago. That's the purpose of the study. It's the same exact technology that is used to look for oil and gas. So,
Texas, right?
Yes. So it's very curious, because they've been doing seismic studies without our knowledge, apparently, for a couple of years, several years ago. They also, in 2009, took core samples, actual physical core samples of the area. So they have physical samples and they have data But this study, the reason they need this study is because apparently they have new technologies that can give them a 3D color image of the same data that they've been collecting for years and years. So, I mean, they are doing this, you know, I mean, I think none of us are against science, but the science has to have rationale, and the science has to be reasonable, and it shouldn't harm marine life. Now, let me tell you about what it is. Right. Amen. They're going to blast 250 decibels. Now, at 115 decibels, the human hearing after 30 seconds gets impaired. And the decibel system is on that logarithmic scale, so every level you go up, it goes up exponentially. So 250 decibels. And marine life is much more sensitive to sound than we are. 250 decibels every 5 seconds, 24 hours a day for 30 days. That's incredibly loud. I think, I think we do have a sample of the sound that we can play for you in a moment. But we have done everything together to try to stop this. I've never seen anything in my life where the citizens have rallied. We sent out action alerts. We got petition drives together. We've got thousands of petitions. There's over almost 17,000 signatures on the petition at StopRutgersOceanBlasting.org. If you haven't signed it, you can go online and sign it. We had federal officials. You're going to hear from Congressman Lobiondo, Congressman Pallone, Congressman Smith, U.S. Senators Menendez and Booker have been working this. Everyone has been working this. And the state of New Jersey even said no. The state of New Jersey said, we want the right to review. And in every case, the federal government has said, so what, we don't care, we want this study, we're going forward. And I've never seen anything so fast-tracked like this in my 30 years of ocean advocacy. So are we ready to go? Prepare yourselves. This is not nearly as loud as it's going to be, but I just want to give you a sense. This is every 5 seconds, 250 decibels, recorded some distance away, and we're going to play it for 30 seconds. In your living rooms, in your dining rooms, in your bedroom, 24 hours a day, days on end, where you have no idea what's going on. I mean, I cannot imagine the fear, the agony, the panic that will ensue once this thing gets started to all that marine life that is just thriving off our coast. How many of you have seen the whales or heard about the whales that have been offshore? They've been here. The fish have been extraordinary. We must not let this life be destroyed or be harmed. And we're really excited today that one of the folks who were going to be here today was the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, but they just recently sent a letter to us all, including Congressman Lobiondo, alerting us that the reason they're not here is they are doing everything to get all the paperwork done. First thing tomorrow morning, they're going into court, and they are taking the federal government to court, filing an injunction and saying, hell no, we're not taking it. We want to stop. So I'm going to turn it over to Congressman Lobiondo, who has led this charge from the earliest of days. He's done remarkable hard work to try to get the national government, the federal government, to stop this outrage. And we've all, as with all of us, we've been thwarted, but we are not defeated. We've got all of you. We've got the governor, and we've got all of us, Governor. And I'll turn it over to Congressman Lobiondo.
Thank you, Cindy, and thank everybody for coming out. A huge thanks to all of my colleagues in government who are here, but especially to Clean Ocean Action. I've been working with Cindy for almost 30 years now, and she is, as you know, a tireless advocate. So as this whole situation started to unfold, what I'd like to do is give you a little bit of timeline to sort of backfill what Cindy said about how incredibly dumb, insensitive, and wrong this decision has been and what we've tried to do. Yeah, dumb, insensitive, and wrong. I mean, I could use stronger words, but there might be some children around, so we don't want to do that. So my colleagues from the House of Representatives and from the United States Senate, Senator Menendez and Senator Booker, especially Congressman Pallone and Congressman Smith and also Congressman Runyon, we've been on this for a while, but I led sort of an effort that started in early April, where we went to NOAA and we started to explain our concerns and started to try to get feedback from them. Well, they turned a deaf ear. We couldn't get any feedback. We kept ramping it up. Finally, it got to the point where they had given us a June 3rd start time of when they were going to start this sonic testing. As we got into May, I was finally able to get some deputy secretary on the phone and convince that person that they needed to understand this thing a little bit better. And the person I thought that would be best able to explain this, because while we're concerned about all marine life and all ocean life, I mean, what comes to mind to me of, and I may be wrong because I'm not an expert, of what would suffer the most would be our marine mammals, our whales and our dolphins. So, longtime advocate Bob Shelkoff from the Marine Mammal Stranding Center agreed to get on the phone with them. Bob had an extensive conversation where I believe that they didn't listen to hardly anything he had to say. After he got off the phone, they got back to me, NOAA did, and they said, okay, well, we're going to suspend for a period of time. We're not going to start on June the 3rd, but we're going to keep reviewing this. Well, it was pretty clear that, in my mind, especially now, that what they had in mind was to give a little minor delay so they could say they were listening, but they had no intention of really giving us the delay or stopping it the way we wanted to. Cindy and I were on speed dial with each other for quite a while, and Cindy was able to determine that the National Science Foundation, who had to give the last sign off, that they're required to have a 30-day waiting period to take input. So yesterday, or the day before, I lose track of time, on behalf of Clean Ocean Action and the coalition of partners, I contacted them demanding that they give us what they said we needed to have. It wasn't 5 minutes after we gave them the letter that they said no. I mean, I don't think they had a chance to even read it, but they said no. We're not delaying it, we're signing off. Now, in the meantime, Cindy and a lot of us had been contacting DEP. I had a direct conversation with Bob Martin, the commissioner of DEP, who completely understood and agreed with what we were trying to do, said New Jersey would be all in if in fact we weren't able to get it stopped at the federal side. We continue to stay in contact with them, and yesterday I spent a good chunk of time with Lieutenant Governor Kim Guadagno in Hamilton, where we had a welcome home for troops. And I explained to Kim what was going on and the bad news we had from NOAA and the Science Foundation, and she said, we will be on it. I'm going to call Bob Martin right now. And she did. And I believe that she contacted the governor, and the governor's office and Bob Martin sent Cindy the email, which she just shared with you, where they're going into federal court tomorrow morning. So this is, I think, I don't want to say it's our last best hope, but I believe that they've got some pretty smart lawyers, some pretty smart people that are working on this. But it's all working because of the coalition that's been built and the partnership that's been built. Whether they're the mayors here on Long Beach Island, whether it's the Clean Ocean Action, whether it's citizens like you who have weighed in and gotten involved in this. I have seen some really dumb, stupid, wrong things happen out of Washington, but this really ranks at the top. And they could not explain why they can't wait till February. They shouldn't do it at all. But why can't they wait till February? And nobody will give an answer, which tells me that they don't want to have to answer that question, and I hope the judge forces them to. So God bless all of you for being involved. Thanks again to Cindy and the entire coalition. We're going to keep fighting. Thank you.
Amen to that. The next speaker is Bob Shelkoff, who I don't think is a stranger to any of us that care and love the marine environment. He's been tending to and managing the marine mammals off our coast for decades. He's tireless, and if he doesn't know, he knows the mammals. He knows them better than anybody because he works with them. He's not down in Washington behind a desk somewhere pumping paper. He's out there protecting the animals and trying to save them. Bob Shelkoff.
Thank you all for coming. Last year, the state of New Jersey faced the largest mortality in bottlenose dolphin deaths in its history. 135 confirmed bottlenose dolphins, that's infant through adults, died on our beaches in a 3.5-month period of morbillivirus, which was a naturally occurring virus. 2 times that number is estimated to have died at sea that never washed ashore that we didn't get to test. Now we're looking at a man-made cause that could be a decline in that population. Right now, the bottlenose dolphin are mating and giving birth off New Jersey. May and June are the birthing periods. We see calves off there every single day. They are totally dependent on their parents to provide them the milk for nursing for 2 to 4 years in their life. If the mother, for some reason, cannot catch fish to eat, it can't produce milk. If the fish are chased out of the area because of seismic testing, there's nothing for those dolphins to eat. We also have another 30 species of marine mammals that are found in New Jersey waters throughout the year. We talked to the federal agency by phone, National Marine Fisheries Service, and NOAA, who are responsible for implementing the Marine Mammal Protection Act to protect marine mammals at sea. They're the agency that is allowing for the testing to take place. When they were asked if they could put the tests off until fall or winter when the marine mammals move south and the migrating humpback whales, which are endangered species, move into the Caribbean waters for the winter, they didn't answer. There was literally no noise made at their end of the phone. It was pushed off. It was not pushed off. They insisted it had to be done in the summer. We asked them if that 60-million-year-old rock is still going to be there in the dead of winter. The dolphins won't. Do it when it's safer for the environment. We even have to worry now about the diving community. People don't think about this. Marine mammals are going to be affected by the sound waves on their hearing and internal organs. Imagine all the divers that dive, the hundreds of wrecks that are off of Long Beach Island within the distance of this test area. A personal note, I have 50% bilateral hearing loss as a result of seismic explosion from Vietnam. So I constantly hear phone calls going off and no one answers at the other end. So this is something that they don't seem to understand, even though they're the person that implements the Marine Mammal Protection Act. And I'm so happy to see the number of people turning out for this. And I hope that the government of New Jersey is successful in not putting it off and delaying it, but to stop the test totally. Thank you.
Amazing. Who would have thought the waters off the Jersey Shore would be one of the most ecologically diverse for marine mammals and marine life in the United States? 26 species of mammals, of whales and dolphins, 5 species of sea turtles. There's only 7 on the planet, and 5 of them enjoy our waters. Truly a remarkable place, and not one to be bashed with seismic testing. Thank you so much, Bob. Ray Bogan is also no stranger to anyone in the fishing community. He's a long family lineage of fishermen and fisherwomen. He's been defending the ocean for many, many years. We've worked together for years against ocean dumping and the bad old days when we had dead and dying dolphins and medical waste all washing up on our beaches. Together, fishermen and environmentalists have worked together to keep the ocean clean, and we're doing it again. Bob?
There's something about names today that everybody's having a hard time with. My name is Ray Bogan, as mentioned. I'm here speaking on behalf of the Marine Trades Association in New Jersey, as well as the United Boatmen. I also have my friend Jim Donofrio behind me, who's here for the Recreational Fishing Alliance. There are folks here from Jersey Coast Anglers Association. There's a unified front from a recreational fishing standpoint and from a recreational boating standpoint. I'm an attorney, so I'm going to be speaking twice as long but saying half as much as anybody else. If I may, I want to just go into a little bit of personal background. As Cindy mentioned, my family's been involved in the fishing industry for many, many, many decades. I have had the good fortune of being involved with fishermen and folks in the marine industry my entire life. And as I was talking to my kids, 2 of my boys are lifeguards, and I was talking to them about this, and Congressman Loviondo used the operative word that I use with them, and that is dumb. And as I explained to them, and as I'm sure everybody's parents explained to them, everybody has done dumb. Nothing wrong with doing dumb. Smart people do dumb things. Folks who aren't so smart. Nice, smart people do dumb things. But when it's dumb and destructive, that's when we have a big, big problem. And that's the nature of this proposal. This is the nature of what will be done. Something very dumb and very destructive that's going to possibly impact the marine ecosystem and the communities that depend upon it for many, many years to come. When the federal government tells these folks to do something, they say, you are going out to get data. And they're impacting how many marine mammals. If you and I were to do this in an order of magnitude significantly less, as Kevin Warwick pointed out, if we affect one, we get what are called fines and penalties. When they do the same thing in a much larger scale, they get what's called data. It's an interesting component. The fines and penalties are substantial. We take great measures to make sure that we don't interact with mammals, for example. But take the other fish, the other things that are in the water, such as scallops, such as finfish, such as other things. It's extraordinary. This is a time when the marine industry, the fishing industry, is reeling from improper and poor management as well as bad legislation that impacts it. And while that's taking place, and so many folks in these communities are suffering, now there's a proposal to possibly do something to hurt it even more. At a time when there may be less disruptive and less troublesome ways of doing this and getting the data. Cindy pointed out, for example, a way of where they do core samples. Why not? When you grew up in my family, you did a lot of things, but most of it was on boats and fishing. So when I grew up, there were a couple of things we did. We had some inshore fishing, shallow water, and Jim Donofrio knows this super well. A place called Seabright, a place called Long Branch. But guess what? All the way down here, all the way off Long Beach Island. With certain species, you were told, keep it quiet. Don't make too much noise. Don't run your engine hard. Don't do certain things because you will stop them from feeding, from biting. Guess what's being proposed? A constant noise, which is so disruptive to these things. And we can tell you from thousands upon thousands of years of collective experience that this negatively impacts not just whales, not just dolphins, everything. Everything that's under the water is disrupted by this. It has a negative impact. It goes from species that have air bladders to species that don't, but that depend on things such as squid and others that are going to be running through this area. There is a claim, for example, that this isn't a really productive area. It's an extraordinarily productive area. Extraordinarily. But most importantly, if it wasn't, it still is part of the highway that allows things such as squid and other things to pass through and get other places. No matter how you look at it, no matter what your perspective, this is exceptionally destructive. And just think about, as Cindy pointed out, this is constant noise. When we go to spots, if we make too much noise, if we are too disruptive, we don't catch fish for hours, if not the day. Just imagine doing that for 24 hours. We go in for 20 minutes and make too much noise and we have that impact. How about that many hours? This is a dumb idea. There are other ways to do it that are less disruptive. There are ways that this can be done and that we would support. We respect folks from Rutgers, we respect folks from Texas, we respect all kinds of folks. But not when they come in and do dumb and destructive things, and that's what's taking place here. I would urge all of you, besides what Cindy is going to ask you to do, to let the Christie administration know how much we appreciate them taking legal action to try to stop this. Successful or not, we have to show that we support that position. We've got to let those folks know. We have to thank folks like Congressman Lobiando, Congressman Flown, and others, thank them for getting out and doing things. Some not quite so active. The thanks are not quite as vehement for them. But for these folks, for Congressman Flown, Congressman Lobiando, others, we thank you from the bottom of our heart. Folks, it's one, again, we thank you very much for being here. We thank you for supporting this cause, but part of it has to be carrying it forward. It has to be ongoing momentum. It has to be ongoing efforts. If this is it, this is very positive, but it will not have a great impact. What needs to be done is tonight tomorrow. Things have to be sent. You have to go to the website, sign up on that, supporting, in essence, going against them, but supporting the position that Cindy, Clean Ocean Action, and others have taken. Support marine communities. Go against really dumb stuff. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ray. That was awesome. Thank you very, very much. Eloquently stated, Counselor. Best lawyer I've heard in a long time. What are you doing tomorrow? Can you join them up there and go into court? We have a couple more speakers that we want you to hear from, a couple different perspectives, and then we're going to open it up to all of you. We have 2 microphones here, and we're going to take any questions that you might have. But we wanted to hear from someone that works the water as a commercial fisherman, and that's Kevin Wark, who I've just recently was introduced to. He's a remarkable guy who's got a fantastic story and goes through quite a lot to do his work. Kevin?
It's nice to see all these folks out here ready to protect the ocean, but I come from a practical standpoint. I'm a member of all 3 take reduction teams, which are in charge of mitigating mammal bycatch issues. And I've never seen anything like this, to assign these people that many takes. You know, I'm a contractor. I do research on protected sturgeons. I have to jump through hoops to get permitted for NOAA, even though I'm working for them. The system is really crazy, but to assign that many takes and expect the industry to stand there and watch it is really, it's not right. Because we argue over one animal. 690 takes is just astronomical. So I think that they've really done us wrong. I really think we all need to demand peer review. We need to bring in acoustic experts to tell us, what does 250 decibels do to a marine mammal? Does it scatter its brain and then there's entanglements and beaching 6 months later? I don't know. I read the letter that came from the Marine Mammal Commission. Great letter by Dr. Rebecca Lent, a friend of mine, and she questioned the science. I sent it to my friends, the researchers I work with. They questioned it. And it just seemed like NOAA is just not questioning it. So there's a system out there, and it's called peer review. I want to see people from the New England Aquarium that I know do acoustic work debating this, because we don't know. We can all guess all day long. Does 250 decibels do anything? It probably does. I have experience with marine mammal deterrents. You can barely hear those, like with your ear. Nothing like that. You got to hold it up to hear it, and that's to scare them away. I work with Future Oceans. They're acoustic experts in these deterrents. So I haven't heard, none of these people have been involved in this. They just gave these people carte blanche to interact with these animals, and it's really insulting to all of us, I think, and I think we should take issue with it. Demand peer review, you know, and we want to hear from the real scientists that are acoustic scientists. What's going on with this? And even if we lose this battle moving forward, I think this whole crowd, everybody needs to press them for good science. We can't let them just, keep going on doing whatever they want, because that's really what they're doing. So I think that, everyone here needs to just, get together. And Cindy's a great organizer, and I think we need to really key on the Marine Mammal Protection Act. This act is to protect these animals. 690 takes? You ever heard anything like that? That's a lot. Some of these stocks are strategic, and they have a potential biological removal. The numbers are in the single digits. Single digits. And they get 690 takes? There's something extremely wrong with that. I'm not a big conspiracy guy, but this is ugly, and they need to be corrected.
What's a take? What's a take?
A take can be, they're not all mortalities. Some of them are harassments, but how do you know that mortality doesn't occur down the road? You don't. I mean, they're going to put 5 observers on this vessel. What are they going to see at night? What if it sinks? I mean, come on. It's not like they're hauling gear and it would come up and they would see it. No one would see it. So that's a stretch. I think they added additional observer coverage. That's a real stretch. These takes can be, some of these are B takes, which is just an harassment. But, they don't know. Will it cause mortality down the road? You know, and I haven't heard a word about turtles. Does it affect turtles? You know, that's the issue. I mean, there's a lot of issues and there's no answers. So I think that we got to press the agency, press them. I've sent emails to everyone I work with. Didn't get a lot of responses, so I'm afraid that, you know, they're under orders of some sort. So I guess maybe a court injunction is the only thing that'll work. But I sure appreciate everybody coming out and keep up the good fight. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And yeah, if you have questions, we're really looking forward to your questions afterwards. We have one more speaker representing a part of the community that's going to be directly affected, and that's Jim Donofrio from the Recreational Fishermen's Association. He and I have been working very hard on a number of issues over the years as well. Jimmy.
Thank you, Cindy. I want to thank Cindy for her great organizing skills here today. Congressman Lobiondo, our elected officials, and Mr. Pallone, they actually got in there, did the dirty work with their hands, and tried to really stop this administration. But nothing surprises me coming out of this administration, nothing at all. I mean, this is a job killer here. You destroyed this fishing industry right now. We're reeling, as Ray said, we're reeling from the effects of Sandy. We got a party boat fleet, a charter boat fleet, and then we have the commercial fleet here. We're trying to get back on our feet again, and this administration is doing stupid things, dumb things. They probably want us all in welfare. I mean, that's probably what they want, so maybe we'll all vote for him again. But to me, this is disgusting. It's typical. We get nothing done with this administration, and they're the ones to blame. Rutgers is partially to blame. We had a private meeting Mr. Pallone set up for us. I can tell you, that's the premier marine science school, from what I'm told, in the state of New Jersey. So they have Dr. Mountain there, who's a geologist. You think they would have talked to Dr. Ken Abel or Dr. Eleanor Bohanec, who work with us on fisheries. They didn't consult them. They would have had all the information that Cindy was brought to by Kevin. Kevin found all this information out here. They didn't have that at the meeting. Mountain said he spent 47 days off our coast here and never saw another boat in the same area. We looked at him like, are you crazy? 47 days you didn't see another boat on the prime fishing grounds. So there's a lot of misinformation. I don't blame Rutgers altogether, but we got to stop this thing. I'm thankful for the Christie administration. I'd also urge you to contact Senators Booker and Menendez and tell them to get a little more aggressive on this thing. Sending letters is not going to do it. We've got to dig in like Mr. Lobiondo and Mr. Pallone did. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to invite the representatives that are here, the elected officials, to come down and sign the banner to thank Governor Christie for taking it to court. And Zach McHugh is also here. He arrived representing U.S. Senator Booker's, and he's going to speak in a couple of minutes. Did Carol Weil come from get here? Yes, excellent. She's here, so she'll be presenting some remarks from Congressman Chris Smith as well. So if we could have everybody come on down from up here and sign the banner. And I also want to recognize Lauren Townsend. Where are you? Lauren, there, she's right there. Thank you so much for all your hard work. And if any press want a copy of the letter that Commissioner Martin sent to us to identify, letting us know about the injunction, she can email it to you, so see Lauren for that. And I want to thank the Clean Ocean Action staff. Please wave for all the hard work you did getting all this stuff together. Thank you very, very much. So who's going to lead the parade? Congressman Lobiondo, lead them on and sign to Governor Christie, thanking him for saving our ocean and taking it to court. And then if any of you haven't, please, before the evening is out, please sign the banner. That's one way. You can also go to our website, cleanoceanaction.org, and find out how other ways you can thank the governor. Get his email. We'll send you a link, or you can go to the governor's website yourself. There's always a way to email. Is there a bunch of markers? Share up the markers. We can get more the merrier. There's plenty of room. We should have done 1, 2, 3. Everybody sign. While we're having these folks sign, a commercial fisherman that's been working on this for a long time, that's up at Point Pleasant, wanted to share a few words because he's been researching this and he's been fighting oil and gas drilling for years. He's also on the board of Clean Ocean Action.
I want to thank everybody for turning out. It was a great turnout. It shows the power of citizenship and people being concerned about a very serious issue here. This is an issue that just popped up, but it didn't. 2 years ago, they held public hearings along the East Coast over oil exploration using seismic testing. A hearing was held in Atlantic City. There was a few hundred people showed up there, and I would say it was 99-1 against this seismic testing. What they were proposing at that point was a period of 8 years of testing off and on, up and down the coast from Florida to Maine to look for oil and natural gas reserves. They were going to be allowed 138,000 level A takes of marine mammals, including 13 endangered right whales. Now, this struck me as totally wrong because, one, there's only 350 right whales in the whole Atlantic, okay, on top of a number of other endangered whales and dolphins and so forth, sea turtles. They were going to be allowed up to 13 million takes between level A and level B, which is the strict harassment. This was all for the oil companies. Now, background, National Marine Fisheries Service is under NOAA, which is under the Commerce Department, which is run by the oil industry. If you're wondering why NOAA NIMS is signing off on this proposal, just look at who their master is in the Commerce Department. That's it in a nutshell. Now, I want to thank the Christie administration for their work, but I have a recommendation for Governor Christie, and that's that if the injunction is turned down, that he goes out and moves the buoys on the sea lanes to direct this ship somewhere else. The worst thing, the amount of noise here, okay, the decibel level, just think about this, 30 days every 5 seconds, that's like listening to a Senator Cruz filibuster for a month.
All right.
Now, I can tell you from my own standpoint, I've seen finback whales out here, right whales, humpback whales, sea turtles, loggerheads, Kemp's Ridleys are the most endangered turtle in the world. It's a nursery ground for them. The most important fishery on the East Coast is out here, and it's in like ground zero of their seismic testing, and that's the scallop fishery. Juvenile scallops are extremely susceptible to seismic testing. The squid fishery is right in its peak in the summer, the inshore summer. Recreational fishermen that want to go to Barnegat Ridge and expect to catch bonito and Spanish mackerel and bluefish, good luck, because they're going to be hundreds of miles away, chased away by the noise that Rutgers is going to be making here. It's a very sad state of affairs. There's no, when they do the science research, there's no public hearings. There's no even notification of the public. You just, hey, it's for science. It's a runaround that's being given here. So it's a good thing. We need to be involved. We have enough people here, hopefully, that we can pull this off. But let me just end this by saying, I'm hoping that one day seismic testing is looked upon as basically atmospheric nuclear testing. It's something like, what were we thinking? How could we do that to the marine environment?
Okay, we're going to just hear two brief statements from U.S. Senator Booker's office and then from Congressman Smith, because they would like you to know that they're working hard, and then we're going to open it up to Mike. So if you guys, whoever has questions, if you want to start coming up to the microphones. Zach?
Good evening. Unfortunately, Senator Booker was unable to make it this evening, but I'm proud to be reading a statement on his behalf. I'm very disappointed and frustrated by NOAA's decision to grant authorization for incidental harassment of marine mammals to the National Science Foundation. This permitting will allow harmful underwater seismic airgun blasts to be used just 15 miles from LBI starting at any moment now. By granting this permit, NOAA has ignored the negative impacts that seismic testing will have on recreational and commercial fishing, marine mammals, sea turtles, and potentially recreational divers during the peak summer season. Since March, I've joined my colleagues in New Jersey's congressional delegation on both sides of the aisle, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, and members of the community to raise concerns regarding the effects this study will have on New Jersey's coastal resources and economy. I'm troubled by NOAA's decision to deny New Jersey DEP's request to conduct a review to determine if this study is consistent with the state's coastal zone management plan. Marine mammal stranding specialists have already responded to at least 83 strandings of dolphins, seals, and sea turtles this year. With the morbillivirus affecting bottlenose dolphin populations last summer, this is a critical time for migration, breeding, and calving of the species. As you know, our waters are home to many endangered species, including the North Atlantic right whale. There have already been reports of humpback whales off many shore communities this summer, proving that the animals are here and will now be at risk of seismic blasts. New Jersey residents have seen firsthand the effects that rising sea levels have on our coastal communities. We don't need a study that puts marine life and other coastal resources in harm's way to tell us that sea levels are rising. NOAA should be working to protect New Jersey's interests, not threaten them. Consenting to seismic testing off New Jersey without even allowing DEP to review the potential impacts on our coastal resources sets a dangerous precedent and represents a failure of leadership at NOAA's National Ocean Service. We cannot sit back and allow the same activity that is used to explore for oil and gas to occur in our waters where we know we don't want to drill. I'd like to thank you all for your passion and persistence in advocating to protect New Jersey's waters. As your senator, I rely on your voices to help drive my priorities in Washington, and it's clear that on this issue and of others of this nature, there is a diverse cross-section of environmentalists, recreational fishermen, commercial fishermen, boaters, recreational divers, surfers, business owners, homeowners, beachgoers, and concerned citizens who care deeply about protecting our coastal resources. I look forward to working with all of you on these efforts, and thank you for allowing me to be heard tonight.
I do have to say that the senator got involved in this issue very early and worked very, very hard and had his legal team on this, looking at different avenues, turning over every rock to try to figure out a way. And as Congressman Lobiando said, it didn't matter what we came up with. That NOAA was not going to take no for an answer. We also have Senator Chris Smith's representative here today, and Carol. Congressman Chris Smith, who's here today, and she's, yeah, right?
Thank you. I'm sorry that Congressman Smith couldn't be here today. As you know, he doesn't really represent this district, but he certainly is concerned about what's going on here. And he did put together a press release on July 1st, and I have some copies of that. I never anticipated quite a crowd as this, so I only have 50 copies. But if anybody's interested in having a copy, please see me after and I'll be happy to give it to you. Thank you.
Okay, we have a couple of folks with questions. We'll open it up. Right this way first.
I'm Kathy Lacey, and it's really not a question. I'm with the Terrapin Nesting Project. It was founded 4 years ago to save the diamondback terrapins. These are not sea turtles. These are brackish-water bay turtles. And any time that this seismic blasting goes, it doesn't matter whether it's February, March, whatever. They exist here 12 months out of the year. They're in cremation or hibernation during the winters, and they're up along the coast. If you do this in the middle of the winter, you will probably just kill them. Because vibrations, since turtles don't have ears like we do, they have their tympanic membranes, they rely heavily on vibrations. And these vibrations, as Kevin was saying, you didn't know the effect it would have on turtles, it would be devastating. Their sight fidelity would be thrown off, their navigational skills would be thrown off, These guys don't go out to sea for thousands of miles. They're coast huggers. So for all the work that we have done in the past 3 years, and this is our fourth, saving 2,600 hatchlings, you may as well just wipe the slate clean and not bother anymore, because that's what will happen. There won't be any left.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Is there, questions go to the side?
Mine actually isn't a question either, it's a comment. I'm Brianna Miller. I attend the University of Arizona and I volunteer at Biosphere 2 with marine biologist Rafe Sagarin. I don't know if anyone knows who that is. But I just wanted to say that these frequencies that will be, I guess, blasted into the ocean have been shown to disrupt the behavior of most marine mammals, and it's also been shown to drastically change the behavior of squid. I was also just going to say that there's been 2 cases of fish and marine mammals beaching themselves during the surveys of seismic testing, and in these areas it was the Galapagos and the Sea of Cortez.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that information.
Hi, my name is Joy Leckey. I am a native Long Beach Islander, and I live here in Barnegat Light year-round. I also own a company here in Barnegat Light. 2 questions. I know there's an attempt in an injunction tomorrow morning, but is there a plan B if the injunction fails, i.e. I own a boat, and for this I'd be happy to get arrested. Secondly, has anyone done an economic impact study? Because I can only imagine what effect it's going to have on the state of New Jersey, because the Jersey Shore produces billions of dollars in tax revenue for the state. And I can't imagine the reaction that tourism would have if more of this started washing up on our shores. And my heart goes out to any marine mammal, any creature that would suffer the consequences of sonic blasts like this. I mean, I've seen the videos from the military blasts and the inexplicable beachings of mammals thereafter. So I can't imagine that they would go ahead and do something like this without both an environmental impact study and an economic impact study, especially 2 years post-Sandy. Again, dumb and irresponsible.
Just to address the economic study component of this, the most recent study has been done by the Marine Trades Association of New Jersey as it impacts recreational boating, but it is a generalized study, as is the case with the prior study for recreational and commercial fishing input into the state's economy. Give or take, depending on the nature of what you're studying, is between $2 and $3.5 to $4 billion. There's no way of quantifying at this point what impact that will have. We know that all boating activity associated in terms of economy, we know that more than 50% of participation through boats is for fishing purposes. We know how many inlets draw to this area. We do not have a specific number, and frankly, I don't know how you would do that at this point. What we do know, without doubt, however, is that it will have a very, very significant and negative impact.
I think that's one of the arguments that the state is making, is that the imminent economic harm once these fish scatter. But no, there's not been any formal assessment at all. Usually an environmental impact study takes years to develop. This was done in literally a couple weeks, a couple months rather. It's really extraordinary. Yes.
Captain Joe Fogel, United States Merchant Marine Service, and I'm also Executive Director of Water Watch International, a nonprofit that's been around about 40 years. We do water monitoring and we're interested in marine environments. Today I have a question, but I just wanted to make a statement. Has anybody thought about moving this testing time to a later period, sometime when there isn't so much economic activity along the shoreline, particularly in terms of tourism, fishing, boating, and your marine migrations as well? Has that been addressed? Has anybody thought about, and is there a reason why?
Well, they did not do an full, complete environmental impact study. As everybody, most other studies of this kind have to go through a complete environmental impact study, which looks at alternatives, including the no action alternative, which is my favorite, which is they don't do it at all. You know, they have the data, they have the core samples, what a color 3D image gives them. I mean, they have technology and software today that can turn 2D images into 3D images. You know, the color image, get a box of crayons. You know, I mean, we really don't need to hurt our marine life for this kind of activity. So we want a fully environmental impact study that includes the no action alternative so no marine life gets harmed.
Well, I want to thank you.
And we find out what's going on with sea level rise, as it's been said. I think we're getting the message, right?
Cindy, you've done a wonderful job.
Oh, thank you,
Clean Ocean
Captain.
Action.
So have you.
And I just want to say one other thing, and I'll make it really brief. I want you to try to imagine what it's like in the middle of the night. You're in your room, you're sound asleep. Everything is nice and quiet. I want you to listen to the quiet for just a minute. Now this is what it's like in the middle of the night, in your bed, when it's quiet.
Enough.
We don't want no more boom.
Well said, as usual. Thank you so much for all your work. Yes, go to the side.
Hello, my name is Tom MacArthur. I have been a homeowner here in Barnegat Light for 8 years, and I'm the Republican nominee for the U.S. House of Representatives. Not here, that's Frank Lobiando, but when you go over the bridge into the 3rd District. And I just want to say thank you to the people that have worked hard on this, and make it crystal clear that I will be as forceful an advocate as I can be in joining you and others in protecting our commercial and our recreational fishing. This isn't just politics. This is about protecting our coastline, and I'm serious about it. I just want to say it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Hi, sorry to disappoint on the politics. I'm Mr. MacArthur's opponent, Fred Laverne. Hold on. That's not why I'm here. I'm number 3816 in the Beach Buggy Association, 3610 is my wife. Okay? I grew up in the Lakeport and West End Beach in West Long Branch, and spent most of my time when I was a young man fishing, which is probably why I'm not as successful as I should be. Somebody's asking a question back here, and I wasn't finished with my question.
No, I think he's trying to get the congressman has to leave. He has to go to another meeting. He was kind enough to send his time in. So.
My question is,
yes.
This is an important one, because you guys all here are doing an awful lot. This is about stewardship. How did we wait till tomorrow to file an injunction? I just want to understand why this process wasn't undertaken back in April. And the reason I want to understand that is there's an old saying, the best day to plant a tree is, the second best day to plant a tree is today. The second best day, or the first best day, right, is a year ago. How are we in court tomorrow rather than...
From a legal standpoint, you can't file for an injunction until every other action has been taken. And yesterday they issued the permits, so you can't really go into the judge and say stop this study because the permits hadn't been issued. The permits were issued yesterday. They're going in, you know, very quickly. They're going in the next day, pretty much. So I think they did get their ducks in a row. So, I mean, if you can't file...
There was no other action that could be taken
We have
before
an attorney
tomorrow.
here. I should have turned it over to the attorney.
Simply speaking, you are required by law to exhaust your administrative remedies. Once you've taken all those measures, the permit's been issued, then you sue. That's what the governor's doing.
Mr. Bogan, I'm sure you did it right. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, though. I think it helped inform.
Hi, hello everyone. My name's Sonny Matola. Self-employed carpenter, semi-pro cyclist, and I think we all know it's kind of a no-brainer here. And it just seems like it's always costing us money to figure out these no-brainers. The question I really have, and we live in the best area, why aren't these windmills underway? That's really the big thing. I mean, why are we waiting till the 31st century? I'm embarrassed to say I live where I live, and we're so behind, and we're moving on to something else, and we haven't even gotten the first thing going yet. That's such an embarrassment that I'm really embarrassed to say I live in New Jersey all my life, and I love this area, and it's just a shame. It's always
yeah.
costing us
Okay.
more money, more money, more
Right,
money.
right. Thank you
For
very much
what?
for your-
Why is it costing us more money for these no-brainers?
I don't know.
That's the
well,
shame thing about it.
All right, Jimmy wants it, but before
Doggone
everybody leaves, we want to make sure we get a group picture, and then we're going to be wrapping up in a couple minutes. So we're going to.
Just one more question, and this is definitely a question. I'm Carol Marks, and I live in Barnegat Light. I'm a homeowner, and I just wanted to say two things. Is there a plan, like if they go ahead, is there anything that any action that we can at least talk about tonight, you know, that we can take, like boats going out there, you know, and actually stopping this stuff? I think it's really, I mean, we have so many people here.
Yes.
I'm sure a lot of people have boats, and I'm sure a lot of people would take boats. You know.
Okay.
Just one more thing. Just
Yes.
Real quick. The oil industry. Let's not forget the oil industry, what they have done in Louisiana and all,
Right.
you know, they are the ones, they're really the ones, that's what they're going down there for, oil.
Right.
Oil.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. We're going to answer that question in a moment. Jimmy, did you want to say something? Okay. Yeah.
You know, regarding doing anything with boats, look, I'm for going to war with these guys, but if you all want to be willing to go to jail for piracy, we're going to have to go in this together. It can't be just two of us showing up. But I don't think that's the reality right now. I think the governor's handled this perfectly well. He used everything he could. He waited. They filed. Once they filed, immediately they're putting an injunction in. As Raymond said, they tried everything possible. The governor sent letters in exactly like Mr. Pallone did, exactly like Mr. Lobiando did. They tried to get him to change the dates. When we went to Rutgers, Cindy and I talked to him about changing the date as a last gasp effort, and it's not happening. So I say let the legal stuff happen. Let's see if the governor's, let's get back to the governor and thank him, and let's see if we can get this thing done legally first.
Great, thank you, Jimmy. Okay, so before everybody leaves, I know it's been really hot. You guys obviously.
Cindy, I had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I drove the birds, so I can ask a question.
Okay.
Bob Spiegel, Edison Wetlands. You know, we support you in Central Jersey and Clean Ocean Action. I was actually quite stunned to read this about this today for the first time. And I don't think enough people really know that this is going on. I didn't hear about it. I only found out about it because of a mutual friend sent me the email. But this has to be, this message has to be spread out to everyone in New Jersey, because this isn't just the Shore's fight. This is New Jersey's fight. And I live in Edison Township. We should be bringing the fight to Rutgers. They should know that they can't get away with just doing anything business as usual. And I'm going to look to see what we can do in Edison to bring the message to Rutgers and New Brunswick that there's accountability for your actions, and that they should be shamed for what they're doing here. So please let us know what we can do.
Great.
We want to coordinate.
What's your website?
EdisonWetlands.org.
EdisonWetlands.org. EdisonWetlands.org. Bob is going to take the charge of getting Rutgers some accountability sessions.
I'm going to have a change.org petition up tomorrow.
All right. Thank you very much, Bob. One more. Yes. One more.
And then one quick question. My name is Mimi. I live in High Bar. If they want to know about sea level rise, just come over and look at the back of my house. My question is, what is the benefit to us, as human beings, for these studies? Are they going to determine that the sea level rise that happened 35 million years ago is occurring again, and they're going to stop it? If not, what are they spending all this damn money for?
Amen. Good question. Let's get it to the judge. Yes. Lauren, wrap us up.
Just a reminder to everyone, if you haven't signed in, please sign in, because I think you're going to want to know what's going to happen next, and we're going to try to be back in touch with you as quickly as possible about our next news, our next actions, etc. So if you haven't signed in with your contact information, please do it before you leave. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lauren. So if everybody could group up so we can get one big group picture with the signs and all, so we can send it to the governor and show him all the love that we have for the ocean. And we'll get the cameras up here, and we can really send him a strong public picture of all the people. Just gather around here and hold up your signs. We'll get a good group photo.
I was going to take a strange coincidence. You're down here. Yeah, we saw the rain one. Hey, Linda. How are you? Good to see you. Everybody sit around.
Oh, okay. All right, everybody face that way. There you go.
Get up there. That's a good sign. Get up there.
Not in front of the sign.
I gotta figure out from the side. This way?
Hey! Sorry. Welcome, old friends. You wanna,
Save the whale. Come on.
There's a lot of folks out there with cameras, but while we're doing that, I just want to thank the coalition that worked on this. The Anglers Conservation Network, Berkeley Striper Club, CWA Local 1075, Captain Paul Eidman, The Real Therapy, Fly and Light Tackle Charters, Mayor Kirk Larson, of course, the fabulous Barnegat Lake, Jersey Coast Anglers, New Jersey Beach Buggy Association, which really rocks it, New Jersey Council of Dive Clubs, New Jersey Outdoor Alliance, New Jersey State Federation of Sportsmen's Clubs, Point Pleasant Fishermen's Stock Cooperative, Point Pleasant Charter Boat Association, Recreational Fishing Alliance, Save Barnegat Bay, Surfrider Foundation, Atlantic Region, Captain Eddie Yates, and the United Boatmen of New Jersey, and Viking Village. Thank you all so much.
I'd like to thank you all for coming out today and this is really something I've never sold, haven't seen in 20 years. So thank you all for coming. And remind, there's pens up here to sign the matter, please.